What's up guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I'm gonna show you how we can make heartbeats in the style of NARDO WICK, Future, Lil Baby or everyone else. I'm gonna do a quick breakdown on my sample which I made and also the drums. By the way, if you missed it, I just released two new sample packs, one on the Max's Loop Kids type channel, which is again in the Florida style, and one on this channel, link in the description, which is more based on the Future sound and the Moneyman sound. And there are a lot of hard samples in there, so make sure to check it out. So let's actually dive into the sample making part of it. I just started with a keyscape piano pattern, which is simple repetitive chords right here. It's basically a D minor triad chord, but I made it a suspended D minor chord, and here I made it a sus4 chord, and then I just repeated the D minor triad chord right here. Altogether the melody itself sounds like this. Pretty simple, pretty repetitive, and then I also used these notes to build a simple top line melody with bounce and a rhythm to it. The next step for me was to layer the sound with another interesting kind of sound, and I found a sound in Omnisphere, which is the bell shadow sound from Omnisphere drum vault banks. And the pattern itself with the bells sounds like this. So that's the foundation of the sample. Then I just flipped the sample itself completely. I time stretched it, I think, I reversed it, and also used Portal and EFX fragments, for example. And the final sample, or the base foundation of it, sounds like this. By the way, if you want to see a video on me breaking down how to make these sample flips with different effects and methods, then let me know in the comments. I can definitely show you some source to this. So next thing I added was a bass note caused out of keyscape, and the bass note itself sounds like this. So again, nothing crazy, really simple, just to let a lot of space. Then I went onto the Vocalize 3 Gravity Pack contact bank and chose just a simple vocal phrase pack and laid down these notes, and the vocal chops and phrases sound like this. So really beautiful. I always like to add these kind of vocal samples just to make the melody itself a bit more interesting and also a bit more ambient. Then I also added some basic chords which are basically the same as the first layer, just to make it a bit more ambient, add like a nice simple piano for the verse, for example. And the pattern itself sounds like this. By the way, not that you are confused, I just pitched the sample up by 4 or 3 semitones, I guess. So of course it's a different scale now. So then I thought that there's like a synthy fast melody missing in the sample. That's why I chose to lay down another melody which is a bit faster paced. I just used a synth one shot from Kavi. The pattern itself sounds like this. And I think again most of the notes are used from the chords itself, so it's pretty simple, pretty repetitive, but also catchy. Then also a bit of ambient and texture was missing, so I found this bell phrase from Marco Lenz. So again, nothing really crazy, it's just a nice texture, adds some nice accents to the melody, and that's all I wanted to achieve with that layer. Yeah, and the last thing I added was a violin phrase, also by Marco Lenz, I guess, and I just made a half-timed, down-pitched version of it and layered it with the normal phrase itself to make it a bit more deep. And both combined, the two phrases sound like this. So yeah, that's basically the whole sample. It's really simple, nothing really complicated in there, and I think you can learn a lot from the breakdown with adding like simple nice accents to spice up your melodies. So before we dive into the drum part, here's the full sample. So now we're in the beat breakdown. I will show you how I arranged the sample and which patterns I did, but I wanna do this really quick because it's really nothing special. There's just some minor things which are pretty interesting. So I just kept that intro part, which I did with the violins. That's just a pretty interesting start of the beat, I would say. Then I got into the first hook, which is just 2 layers of the sample playing. And yeah, the most important thing that you have to take away from it is that take it really simple in your beats. Like, don't use 4 or 5 layers at once, because that just sounds so crowded and there's literally no space for the artist to even rap on it. I know for our producer ears it sounds really good and it definitely makes sense to catch like artists, but of course everyone will say, okay, it's nice beat, it's dope, but probably no one will use it. So try to keep it simple. I know I struggle myself with it, but my beats and my feedback from artists got so much better once I started implementing this technique. So through the whole beat, except the bridge, I only have 1 or 2 layers playing at once, so it's definitely a lot of space there, and that's just a quick tip for you. So let's first come to the most interesting part, the 808s of course. I really like to keep it simple as fuck and just mess around with the pitch sometimes, just pitch notes up, pitch notes down. And yeah, the 808s and the samples sound like this together. So let's come to the hi-hat part. I have to admit, I actually used a hi-hat MIDI for this, but in my opinion it's nothing wrong about it. I don't make beats to impress anyone, I just want to have simple and catchy things that are good for artists to use. And of course it's not really my hi-hat pattern there, but I think it just fit the beat very well, so I used it, and the hi-hat pattern and the 808 and the sample at the same time sound like this. So let's come to the snare. It's just a simple snare, nothing crazy. Then I have an open hat playing on the 1 and the 2, a bit delayed on the 2, also pretty simple. And another counter open hat, I would say, just to add some more bounce, and a rim, which is also just playing once every 4 bars. So my biggest gem is just to keep it way simpler than you actually think. These hard beats aren't really complicated in the sample or in the drums. It's actually behind the mixing, behind the gain staging, behind the sound selection and the general drum bounce you can create. With all of that said, let's listen to the full beat. So we're actually already done with the video again. I hope you learned 1 or 2 things or even more. If you liked the video and like the style of the video, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and of course join my Discord server, very important. If you want to connect with me or many other producers, we're already 70 or even more people on there. Join the server, share your samples, collab with me, hit me up on IG, and that's all I have to say. Have a good one, bye.